Families who've raised dogs from the time they were small puppies share deep bonds with their four-legged companions. The Texan Robles family was no exception, and they cherished their dog, who had been with them since she was a puppy, growing up alongside their children. However, one fateful afternoon, the beloved canine vanished, leaving the family in anguish and uncertainty. Isela Robles, who had a special affection for Labradors, had always known that her family would welcome a canine member into their household. Lola, a golden Labrador, became part of their lives when Isela's children, Joshua and Jesslyn, were just a few months old. It was an instant connection for every member of the family. The children in particular formed a close bond with Lola through playtime, which often included games of fetch and leisurely walks on Saturday mornings. As Lola and the Robles children grew up together, they spent nearly every moment in each other's company. Joshua and Jesslyn regarded Lola as another sibling. Then, on one summer afternoon, when the children went into the backyard to play with Lola, they called for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Their frantic search of the property turned up no trace of their beloved companion, and their fear and worry grew. Joshua and Jesslyn hurried inside to tell their mother, Isela, about Lola's disappearance. Isela and her husband immediately embarked on a search, scouring every inch of their neighborhood, but Lola remained elusive. An entire year passed with no word about Lola's whereabouts, leaving the family devastated and filled with unanswered questions. Their lingering uncertainty was finally dispelled one morning when Isela received an unexpected phone call from an unfamiliar voice at Dallas Animal Services. The employee on the other end delivered astonishing news. They had found Lola. Overwhelmed with emotion, Isela rushed to the shelter, hardly daring to believe it could be true. When Isela entered the shelter, there in front of her stood Lola, the beloved golden Labrador, her eyes wide with recognition and her tail wagging furiously. It was a moment of pure joy. Lola had been microchipped as a puppy, which allowed the workers at Dallas Animal Services to identify her as the Robles dog with a simple scan. However, questions lingered. How had it taken a whole year for Lola to be reunited with her family? Where had she been during that time? And why had she just arrived at the shelter now? While the answers to these questions remained elusive, the joy of Lola's return overshadowed everything else. Eager to surprise Joshua and Jesslyn, Isela called home to ensure her kids were present. Keeping Lola hidden in the back seat of the van, Isela pulled into the driveway, ready to reveal the long-lost family member. When Joshua and Jesslyn saw Lola leap out of the back of the van, their astonishment and happiness were palpable. Jesslyn was moved to tears, while Joshua couldn't stop hugging their dear canine companion. It was a moment that felt almost too good to be true, yet it was real. With Lola back home, the Robles family celebrated by taking their reunited dog out for a play session, watching her run and enjoy her return. To this day, the mystery remains about where Lola had been for that entire year. Nonetheless, the Robles family considers themselves incredibly fortunate to have their beloved golden Labrador back in their lives. The return of Lola to her family after an entire year was an astonishing conclusion to their story, and the pain endured by the Robles family during those 12 months must have been unimaginable. Yet even losing a beloved pet for just a single month can be a heart-wrenching experience. John and Cindy Billisberger were intimately familiar with this kind of pain when their cherished dog, Bruno, went missing in September 2016. Bruno had vanished from his usual spots, leaving the family initially hopeful that their adventurous dog would eventually find his way back home. However, as the weeks passed with no sign of Bruno, their optimism waned. Living in Estevan, Saskatchewan, Canada, the Billisberger family grieved every day for their missing canine companion, fearing the worst. They held on to the hope that he had been taken in by another family, a notion that helped them cope with their sorrow. Then, an unexpected turn of events occurred. One day, as John was outside, approximately half a mile from their home, one of their other dogs displayed a curious fascination with a particular spot on their neighbor's property. John initially attempted to move the dog along, but it refused to budge. When he started to walk away, the dog began to bark, compelling John to investigate further. What he discovered left him stunned. A 4-foot-wide, 10-foot-deep hole, likely an old well that had been dug up and forgotten over time. However, it wasn't the well itself that had captured the attention of John and Cindy's dog. At the bottom of the well, remarkably, was Bruno, still alive after all that time. John quickly assessed Bruno's condition and realized that he was in dire straits. The dog was on the brink of death, unable to bark, with sunken eyes and a body covered in crusty infections, cuts, and sores. Bruno had even worn away the pads on his paws in a desperate attempt to escape. John knew that time was of the essence. Without hesitation, John called his son, who arrived at the scene within minutes. His son secured a rope around his waist and descended into the well, risking his own safety to rescue Bruno. However, Bruno, in his weakened state, didn't recognize John's son and appeared frightened. Despite this, John's son spoke soothing words and gently lifted Bruno out of the well before hoisting himself out. The Bilsburgers rushed the injured Bruno to the nearest veterinary hospital in Estevan, praying that he could hang on just a bit longer. Upon arrival, even the veterinary technicians were taken aback by Bruno's condition. They immediately began administering IV fluids and treating his injuries, fully aware that his chances of survival were slim. Bruno's diagnosis revealed severe dehydration, malnourishment, anemia, and a host of other health issues. The veterinary team understood that Bruno would require round-the-clock care if there was to be any hope of his recovery. Despite the dire circumstances, they noted that in some ways, Bruno had been fortunate to fall into the well, especially given the presence of water, however minimal, which likely helped him cling to life. Weeks passed as Bruno slowly regained his strength during his recovery. Eventually, he began to resemble his former self, and his recognition of the Bilsburger family brought a joyful wagging of his tail. Both the veterinary hospital staff and Bruno's family marveled at his incredible resilience and recovery, considering his initial condition. After 22 days of dedicated treatment, Bruno was finally well enough to return home. Although he remained somewhat weak, and one of his paws was in a cast, the love and care of his family were the most potent forms of medicine. Cindy and John were overwhelmed with adoration for their dog and deep gratitude toward the people who had helped save him. Bruno had made a remarkable recovery, but the battle was not yet over. He continued to face challenges related to refeeding syndrome, a potentially life-threatening condition affecting dogs recovering from starvation. Cindy remarked on how difficult it was to see him undernourished, given his previous health and vitality. Bruno's return brought not only relief to the Bilsburger family, but also a sense of happiness to their other two dogs, who had been deeply affected by the absence of their beloved companion. The family's spirits were lifted, and Bruno's resilience served as a testament to the remarkable power of love and hope. Bruno's story, along with the incredible return of Lola to her family, highlights the bond between humans and their canine companions and the extraordinary lengths to which people will go to help and protect these beloved pets in times of need. The man was in a desperate situation, having stumbled upon 3 helpless puppies trapped in a pit of sticky tar. Although he couldn't free them himself, he knew that Animal Aid Unlimited, a rescue organization, might be able to save them. He called for their assistance, and the rescue team rushed to the scene, fully aware of the seemingly impossible challenge that lay ahead. Upon their arrival, the rescuers were confronted with a daunting sight. The puppies were so firmly ensnared in the tar that simply pulling them out was not an option. The tar would need to be separated from the puppies gradually, making it a slow and nerve-wracking process. The rescuers transported the puppies, along with the tar that clung to them, back to their treatment facility, uncertain of how long the puppies had been trapped or if they would even survive their ordeal. Each of the puppies had suffered tar-related injuries, with some in worse condition than others. One of the pups, in particular, was unable to close her mouth and cried incessantly due to the distress. At the treatment center, the rescue team's initial priority was to rehydrate and comfort the puppies. Initially, they could only provide water using their fingertips or an oral syringe. Following rehydration, the laborious task of removing the tar from the puppy's fur commenced. The rescuers began by using clippers and scissors to remove the larger chunks of tar. Once this step was complete, they massaged a thick layer of oil into the puppies' coats, as oil was the only effective method to soften the tar and facilitate its removal from their fur. After 2 hours of oil massages, the tar began to soften and the puppies gradually regained their mobility. This was an inspiring sight, but more work remained before they could fully recover. The puppies would receive numerous oil massages in the following days, in between baths in warm water to rinse off the softened tar. Despite the time-consuming and physically demanding process, the team's efforts were gradually paying off, revealing the sweet young puppies hidden beneath the sticky residue. The intense handling, massaging, and cleaning took a toll on the puppies, causing them to fall asleep even during their treatments. However, sleep was a crucial part of their recovery, and with each oiling and bath, they grew stronger, healthier, and more eager to return to their playful puppy selves. Fortunately, their wish was soon granted. Within a few days, with most of the tar removed, the puppies underwent a remarkable transformation. It was hard to believe that just days earlier, they had been on the brink of death. The puppies showered the members of the Animal Aid Unlimited team with affection and gratitude, expressing their joy with kisses. To make the story even more heartwarming, the team successfully located the puppy's mother and reunited her with her long-lost litter. With their mother by their side and under the watchful care of the Animal Aid Unlimited team, the puppies were able to relax, play, and discover their true personalities. Witnessing these once-trapped puppies running free and playing together was a dream come true for their rescuers, and their reunion with their mother made their incredible recovery even more heartening. Their happy ending was a testament to the power of love, resilience, and dedicated rescue efforts.